a few people trickling in, just kind of get the empty seats that are in the middle. I just want to welcome everybody to Binghamton University stop on Alexis Ohanian's Without the Permission book tour. I know it's kind of cold and it's still kind of snowy from yesterday's half snow day, so I'm glad you guys still all decided to come. Before we start this event, I just want to thank a few people. Nicole Lau in the back, Anna Chen, my Igor, all the volunteers for this event, the faculty that decided to come, and also everybody that supported us to make this all happen. Without them, you guys wouldn't be sitting here today. So without further ado, I want to introduce our speaker. He was on the Forbes 30 under 30 list 2 years in a row, and then he turned 30. He founded a social enterprise. He helped launch a travel search engine. He invested in over 60 startups and helped advise hundreds more. And what might be the most interesting to us college students is that 16 months after he graduated, he became a millionaire. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our speaker tonight, the co-founder of Reddit, Alexis Ohanian.
Hello. What's up, Binghamton? I am feeling the love. Thank you. Thank you for coming out here. I actually have a special history with this place. You see, my grandfather, his family immigrated from Armenia after the genocide, and this is where they ended up, in Binghamton, many generations ago. So it's amazing to be back here. I wish we hadn't chosen February. But I have a tremendous amount of pride for this town, for my family. I'm so grateful. I got a few of them here. So you guys have to say nice things and laugh at all the right times. And if you guys want, there's a hashtag for this event. WTPBook. Use your phones, use your laptops. I don't care. Even if you're just using them to ignore me by reading Reddit. That's fine. It's totally acceptable. You're also welcome, of course, to use Twitter, Facebook, Google+. No one actually uses Google+, but I am so happy to see all of you here. I could go on, but let me just get started. I am the guy who starts companies with cute mascots. I love mascots. They're adorable. They make me happy. The Red Alien actually came about because I was bored in marketing class my senior year at UVA. I was just doodling in the margins this little alien creature, which ended up being named Snoo. Because you see, we wanted to originally call the website snoo.com because people would ask, oh, what's Snoo? We'd say, exactly. That's what we're going to do. We couldn't afford the domain, we ended up with Reddit. The hope there was I thought people would one day say, I read it on Reddit. I don't think anyone ever has, but that was the intention. And just by show of hands, how many of you are Redditors? Amazing, awesome. Upvote. Every one of you. Thank you. You've also now identified yourselves as the least productive people here at Binghamton University. So there's that. But look, I can keep talking about mascots that I've created, and I'd rather talk about yours. Now, I didn't invent the mascot. I love the fact that so many institutions use them. The bear cat is an interesting one, though. Really interesting, because it's unconventional. And I like that, because it's terrifying. I mean, good God. Kill it with fire. I'm not suggesting I kill your mascot with fire. This is biology, all this stuff is about preservation. I'm just a little terrified of this thing. But a testament to amazing mascot costume manufacturers, you can still make it look kind of cute, right? And I love mascots for lots of reasons that I've mentioned, as well as the fact that you can dress up as them and get away with anything. So you see, that's the Hipmunk Chipmunk in Times Square. And you'll notice, you see the sword swallower over there? 2 cops, all right? The cops always arrest the sword swallower first. They see the guy with the swords, they're like, let's see a permit. Chipmunk, keep dancing. You're looking great, Chipmunk. Yeah, you can really get away with anything, just FYI. Now, I'm not talking about mascots today, though. No, I am talking about the world. The world. And despite the fact that this man Tom Friedman, oh, did I already burn him already? Despite the fact that Tom Friedman says the world is flat, it is not. And the reason why, despite his very compelling mustache, the reason why is because we just know it, right? The ancient Greeks knew that the world is not flat. But, you know what? The World Wide Web is. And that's a cool idea, right? As long as all bits are created equal, as long as we have net neutrality, this is the world's largest stage and library in one. This is amazing. This is so powerful. So incredibly powerful. You know what I'm talking about? It's actually, incidentally, the Power Glove is a terrible accessory. An awful way to play video games, but you get what I mean. You see, I was lucky enough to get access to this power at a relatively young age. In middle school, my parents, neither of whom really understood technology, neither of whom had a ton of resources to be spending on an expensive computer, got me a 486SX. It's so cool. And they put it in my room and they said, as long as you put it back together, you can play with it. Just please don't break it. And have fun and learn and explore. And then a few years later, they got me an internet connection. It was a 33.6 dial-up. This one you had to listen to your internet that started. And it changed my life because all of a sudden, I felt like a superhero. I was no longer this kid. I mean, I was still very much that kid. Oh man, not worried about prom back then. Not so much. And look, real talk though, there's a hipster somewhere trying to make this cool, all right? This look is coming back, all right? But that was me in high school. And with this internet connection though, I felt so empowered because the schoolwork I did that seemed so irrelevant paled in comparison to what I could do online. I would come home, and I had my website, my GeoCities. You never forget your first. GeoCities.com/Silicon Valley/Hills/4924. It was a Quake 2 fan page. It was so lame. Flaming skull animated GIFs, marquee text scrolling across the site, blink tags, oh, awful. But I was so proud of it, and what was so cool was that I had something that millions of people all over the world could see. Okay, fine. Tens of people all over the world actually saw. And yes, most of them were just me hitting reload and not realizing that would increase the counter on the page. But at the time, it felt amazing. It felt so cool that I would start going on message boards and I would find nonprofits who didn't have websites and I would say, hey, can I build you a website? I don't want money for this, I just want the experience. It felt so cool because these adults had no idea they were dealing with some dorky high school kid in his parents' home. They were working with someone who had a skill they didn't have, and that made me feel cool, it made me feel powerful. It is what has sustained me all this time because that drug of being able to make something that other people liked from, you know, a little humble computer in a bedroom has never left me. And it's something that gives our generation. Many of you were lucky enough to have this technology even sooner than I did. And you've had this access for far longer, and you stand on the shoulders of giants much larger. And you have a kind of fluency. This generation, our generation, us millennials, have a kind of fluency with technology that is going to serve us extremely well. Because software is eating the world. Mark Andreessen said that. The internet is delivering it, and the incumbents have no idea where it's headed. In fact, Bain, it's always a little dicey to paraphrase an arch villain, but Bain understands exactly what is happening, right? The incumbents, they've merely adopted the... No, I could do that better, couldn't I? No, I'm not good at voice. They merely adopted the internet. We were born in it. Thank you, Binghamton. Yes, we were born in it, molded by it. And this actually is a huge factor because no one knows where this is all headed, but what is undisputable is that software and the internet is changing the world. And like I said, the incumbents don't really get it. And you guys all know exactly what I'm talking about, because you've had those conversations before. And who could blame well-intentioned grandma, right? Netflix has House of Cards, Orange is the New Black, like great television. What channel is it, right? What channel? It's this fluency, this advantage that we have that gives us a tremendous edge. It's a new frontier. I don't know where it's headed. It continues to evolve and grow every day. But every one of us is in an amazing position to be exploring it and creating on it, right? You guys can all be the Lewis and Clarks. I will be your Sacagawea. No need to over-visualize that, but those of us who can build in this new frontier won't just be exploring it, they'll be creating it under our feet. And what I mean by this is, how many of you know how to code or are learning? Just by show of hands. Amazing, wonderful, yes, excellent, great, congratulations. Every one of you with your hand up, good news. You're learning the most valuable skill of this century. Now for every one of you who didn't, good news everyone, it's also one of the most accessible skills. Right? That's the mind job. Whether it's Mark Zuckerberg, whether it was Steve Huffman, my co-founder, the greatest developers right now, we're all largely self-taught, using free resources available online right now. Right? Things like Codecademy, Rails for Zombies. These are things you can get started literally right now. In fact, the dinner before this, I learned about hackbu.org, which is teaching any one of you who wants to show up for it web development skills, okay? This is something you can learn. You don't have to enroll in CS 101 to do this. You can start right now because these resources are vast, okay? And I want you to be creating in this new world because this is going to give you the ability to take those ideas and make something with them. Actually, speaking of which, how many of you right now are working on something you're really proud of or excited about? Ooh, one of the first hands that was you, young lady. Would you mind coming up here and telling everyone what you're working on? Come on, let's give her a Bearcats welcome. Come on. Gabriella, come on up here. Careful. All right, Gabriella, the microphone is yours.
Hi. Stop it. Yeah, so I'm really proud of a blog that I'm working on right now, and I'm just, yeah, it's really great. And it's called Thrift Class. It's a website about basically like thrifting, not just literally like going to the thrift store buying stuff, but like living your life in such a way that you can kind of live beyond your means, but within it. I mean, I do focus on like fashion and clothing and stuff, but yeah, so that's what I'm doing. And I have a great photographer, Tyler, who's my friend, and we have a lot of fun together, so yeah.
Scout's honor, and you love how she totally fronted, like she was going to be nervous and everything, and then she killed it. It would have been totally acceptable, Gabrielle, if you just dropped the mic afterwards. Okay, so I do this at every university, and every single time I am floored because the first thing that comes up on stage and just kills it, and talks about something that they're working on right now that they're extremely proud of, and I hope you guys are all going to check that out now. Because look, you don't have to wait to graduate to be starting on this stuff. And more importantly, a lesson I was lucky enough to learn when I was in college was from a professor who said, listen, every one of us is capable of doing amazing stuff. We all have things we're passionate about and we care about. But those of us who do it, those of us who change the world with it, are the ones who are willing to do things like put their hands up first and get called up on stage for random stuff like this and share those ideas. And so look, life's opportunities, life's serendipity isn't always going to look as obvious as a person being like, hey, does anyone have something they care about? Come on up here. But whatever it is, right? If it's a conversation you're in with someone at a dinner table or on the bus, or just any of these opportunities that life presents, please take advantage of them. Speak up, put your hand up, because that is the difference between those of us who can be doing stuff and who are actually doing it. So thank you for making me look so right about this, Gabriella. And now, on that point, quick spoiler. Ideas are worthless, okay? Ideas alone are worthless. Be doing, be launching, be creating, because everyone has ideas. And what this new economy enables is doing like never before. And you, like I said, you can get started right now, just like she is. You can get started right now, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be a startup, something you're passionate about. And what's so cool is, like I said, I'm really jealous of you guys, all right? I had some really fortunate circumstances in my own life, but the world has changed so much in even just 8 years since I graduated from college. By the way, you know YouTube? That did not exist when I was in college. Right? Like, crazy. But by the time I was a sophomore at UVA, I realized, well, I basically had waffles. You see, I was studying to be a lawyer. I was obsessing over my GPA. I was going to be an immigration lawyer. And I walked out of an LSAT prep class because I was hungry for waffles. I walked out of that class and into a Waffle House, which is a life-changing institution, by the way. You've never been. If you don't know, now you know. And I realized, eating those bites of waffles, that if I wanted to be here more than doing the LSAT, I probably should not be a lawyer. And fortunately, I decided, all right, well, let me figure out something else. My good friend Steve Huffman always had these great ideas. and I was able to talk him out of a software company job in order to work with me on something. That something was going to be called My Mobile Menu, or It was going to let people order food from their cell phone without needing to wait in line. So they could just place the order and then walk up to the Starbucks, the foods there, drinks they're waiting for them. We thought, this is amazing, we'll eliminate lines forever. And by our junior year, we'd been talking to every restaurateur in Charlottesville, Virginia. We had started building a prototype, and then we heard about this new thing called Y Combinator. And at the time, it was this brand new idea. A seed stage venture firm that would give $6,000 per founder to basically work uninhibited for 3 months over summer, doing nothing really but writing code, getting users, and playing World of Warcraft. We both hit level 60 that summer, but more importantly, we thought this was perfect. This was perfect for us. So we applied. They loved our application. They invited us up for an interview. We went up to Boston. We crushed it. Oh, so good. We got a call that night, and they rejected us. And we got drunk. And that night, we were out, this is Boston, and we were out near Harvard Square. We met up with a couple. There were some Harvard students there who were also a little drunk. And they were bragging to us because, you see, they had just gotten these great new jobs at Lehman Brothers. Don't know how that worked out for them, but these guys were so proud, so thrilled. And they're going to get a few drinks. And I'll tell you, it was the alcohol, or maybe it was the insecurity, or maybe both. But I blurted out, well, we're starting a company called and we just got into Y Combinator. You wouldn't have heard of it. Yeah. And it felt, as the lie came out of my mouth, I felt like such a tool. And so I just drank more. And just to be clear, students, alcohol is not a solution, all right? Technically it is, but I don't want to nitpick. Like, the next morning, hungover on a long train back to Virginia, we got a call from the Y Combinator founders, and they said, listen, we still don't like your idea, but we like you guys. If you and Steve are willing to get off the next stop, come back to Boston, change your idea. Just don't do something mobile. It was early, right? It was 2005, so there were no real smartphones. It was just like Trios and Blackberries. Oh, too soon. But it was too early. They said, build something in a browser that solves your problem every morning. Steve was an avid Slashdot reader. I was using these new things called tabs in the browser to read a bunch of different news websites, and neither one of us felt like we had the perfect answer. So we thought, all right, we'll solve that problem. That's us. The founders of Reddit on the first day of Y Combinator. This is us, like class photo day, okay? You'll notice some things about this photo. One, we don't have a product yet, but I already have a t-shirt with our mascot on it, which I do not recommend. That is not the right order of operations. But that was us. Steve, to this day, actually still looks the exact same, which is remarkable. It's because he's a vampire. And finally, you can't tell from this image alone, but we've got some image enhancement software, so enhance. We had no fucking idea what we were doing. No clue. And this is something I love stressing, especially here at universities, because anytime anyone comes before you and fronts like they have it all figured out, they are either lying or delusional, okay? No one does. I still don't know what I'm doing most of the time, all right? Experience and expertise help tremendously, but we still are all just hacking it, okay? Every one of us. And so whatever it is you want to do not let I don't know what I'm doing stop you from getting started figuring it out. Because everyone starts out the same way. Everyone is perpetually still in a state of figuring things out. Do not let that stop you, because look, like the first version of anything you make is going to be janky. All right, that's the first version of Reddit. This was it. Minutes after we launched, I took this screen grab because I wanted to have this memory, and it was a special memory because you'll notice I have -1 karma. Yeah, it's because Steve is a dick. And he downvoted the first ever submission to Reddit. Yeah, it was tough too because we were in the same room and it was just us. Like, I knew exactly who it was. Like, really? Yeah, that was the first version. But look. That's okay. All right, this was 3 weeks in. We needed to get something online, and we would have been thrilled if even 10 people cared. Only your mothers will care about what you've made, because mothers are awesome. Everyone else, really, everyone else needs to be convinced. And so we were thrilled when we had 10 users, when we had 100 users. Last month, Reddit had 110 million users. But this was not in our heads when we were started. We were just two kids who had no idea what we were doing, who wanted to build something. This was our first web app, okay? We wanted to build something we hoped 100 people would like. Now this is called minimum viable product, right? But at the end of the day, it's just knowing the first version of everything you make is going to be janky. All right, if it solves a problem, that is what matters. Facebook, Twitter, all the things you can't live without started out janky. All right, the first Iron Man was janky, right? But it solved the problem. Got Tony out of that prison. All right, that's fine. Make something. If it's good enough for Tony Stark, it should be good enough for every one of us, right? And when we launched, it was a little embarrassing. I then learned about our biggest competitor, a site called Dig. You see, here was this site. They'd been around for about 7 months before us. They clearly knew how to use CSS. And we didn't really know how to react to this. Frankly, I was scared. That's also not scared. I'm talking next level, okay? Scared at the prospect of this as a competitor. And I'll tell you, I sent a team-wide email as soon as I found out to Steve. And that's it. I screenshot it. That's the real email. You can tell it's serious because it was all caps, right? This was very troubling. Because here was this founder who was a TV celebrity. He announced Dig on his TV show. And we were just a couple of nobodies who just moved up to a suburb of a suburb of a suburb of Boston called Medford. Medford, right? Yeah, Medford, represent. But here they were in Silicon Valley, ooh, right? Land of unicorns and term sheets. And they had VC money. We had 12 grand in the bank. And we were just happy because we got to keep living like college students. They felt like everything that was right with a startup or with a business. But fortunately, we had amazing advisors. People like Jessica Livingston who told us, do not care about your competition. They won't beat you, you will beat yourself. And no matter what, there are going to be other people doing it, right? Whether they're out before you or they see what you're doing and then come after you, there's always going to be competition, but do not care. One of the best reminders of this is Grumpy Cat. remember Grumpy, okay? And listen, Grumpy's advice is sound because Grumpy has to wake up every single morning to more competition than we will all have our entire lives, right? Because Grumpy has to be better than every cat on the internet. That's serious. Do you think Grumpy Cat cares? No! Grumpy Cat ain't got no time for that. No, Grumpy Cat ran out of dams to give many years ago, all right? So be like Grumpy. Don't care about your competition. Who you should care about, people like Andrew. Who's Andrew? Andrew's a guy who had a TypePad blog that probably had 10 visitors all year. But 2 of them were me and Steve, first 2 commenters. He was the first person who ever wrote about Reddit, ever. It wasn't TechCrunch. It took TechCrunch 18 months before they wrote about us. No one cared. This wasn't, again, an age of social media, so it was a lot harder. The only way you could find out if random people liked your stuff was feedback email and their blog posts. Well, this guy was a hero to us. He's just some random dude on the internet. But like, here's Steve giving him tech support in the comments of his blog. We were doing this because we were so grateful for someone to care. Right? Like I said, only our moms do, all right? So the first person to shop at your Etsy store, the first person to back your Kickstarter, the first person to leave you an amazing comment on your fashion blog, like, treat them like the gold that they are, because they're the ones to care about. And also never forget waffles. I told you that earlier story about Waffle House waffles. Again, Waffle House, great for waffles and epiphanies. Amazing. But also, I got a bit of a setback about 4 months into Reddit. You see, Steve and I were invited out to a little company called Yahoo. You guys know a company called Yahoo? And back then, this executive, he flew us out and he said, listen, we really want to meet with you guys. So we did, we sit down. And he says, tell us about Reddit. So we get into it. Maybe like 2 minutes in, he just cuts us off. I was like, hold on. How much traffic do you guys have anyway? I'm like, well, we just launched a few months ago, but it's growing week over week, probably 10,000, 11,000 users. Just laughs. You guys are a rounding error compared to Yahoo. What are you even doing here? I'm like, well, You invited us. Is that a thing that you guys do at Yahoo? Raise startups? Did not go well. So we went back to Boston, and the next morning I printed something out and put it on my wall next to my desk. And just a few words. It was, "You are a rounding error." I put it on my wall. It became my wall of negative reinforcement. I started putting any bit of feedback like that on that wall, and it was so incredibly motivating. This guy still works in the Valley. I don't name him because I have no reason to. I want to thank him one day when I cross paths with him. I'm sure he does not remember that meeting, but it was so helpful. To this day, I'm still motivated by that guy. I'm still motivated by it. And so the reason I have those waffles up there is because, look, there are going to be constructive critics in your life, and they are amazing. They're the ones who make you better. They're the ones who tell you the honest feedback to help you improve. And then there are haters. Haters gonna hate, right? So, scientifically proven, right? But do not care. All right? Use them as motivation. Use them as ammunition. Eat them for breakfast like waffles, okay? Do not let them hold you down or hold you back. All right, let them be your fuel, okay? Because failure is an option. It really is. You guys are all here because you're really good at not failing, right? You're really good. You may laugh, but really, you made it here because you've done well on tests, you've done well in classes, you've done well. But life has failure. Life has setbacks, right? Sucking is the first step to being sort of good at something. That cartoon dog is very wise. Yes, it's the truth. Everyone sucks whenever they start anything new, right? Failure is an option. There's no GPA after this, okay? Like, if you remember nothing else from this, please, go forth and suck. Obviously, don't take that out of context, but you understand. This is the time to try new stuff and suck at it, right? This is the time. You have the safety net of college. You probably don't have many people dependent on you. You're more creatively free now than you will probably ever be in your lives. So start learning something, start doing something, start sharing something. And look, it doesn't even have to be startups. One of my favorite examples of this is a guy who failed out of the University of Georgia, failed to keep job after job after job until he just got fed up and decided, I just got to move. He moved up to New York, and he told his friends and family, listen, I'm going to start a new life here, I'm going to take pictures. And we're like, really? They were like, you don't even own a camera. Like, and you're terrible at taking photos. Like, this is an awful idea. And he was like, yeah, I know, but I want to try, I want to do it. And he went up there and he sucked. He was a terrible photographer. But he started a blog, he started working at it, he started finding inspiration from other photographers online, he started talking to the people he was photographing. 3 years later, that total failure became Humans of New York. Brandon Stanton was 3 years ago, by all accounts, a total failure. Failure at college, failure at work. This guy could not do anything right. He had no business picking up a camera, and today, he's one of the best known photographers in the world. Millions of people see his photos every day. He's a #1 New York Times bestseller like 100 times over. Brandon Stanton is, by all accounts, reaching his maximum potential for awesome. And it makes me so happy because I don't know how that story could have happened 10 years ago, let alone 15 or 20 or earlier. And these are the stories that I wanted to share on this tour and in this book. People like Zach Anner, who 3 years ago, now Zach has cerebral palsy. It's not particularly important. He's an amazing comedian. But for whatever reason, enough gatekeepers have never really thought that someone hosting a TV show should have cerebral palsy. But what does that really matter now, right? Zach's got YouTube. Zach has all the video editing tools he needs. In 3 years, a few viral hits later, Zach Anner is now working with Rainn Wilson. He's making the comedy he wants to make. He has an amazing show called Have a Little Faith on Soul Pancake. And he's coming up with the second series right now, actually. He's living in LA. He is living his life the way he's always wanted to. And he's the first to admit he knows how much his disability could have kept him out of achieving that maximum level of awesome. But he's doing it. He's absolutely doing it. Again, I don't know how Zach's story could have happened some 10 years ago. And it's great because it means we're getting great comedy and he's getting to do what he's always dreamed of and frankly what he's amazing at. And it's not just young bloods, okay? This is Lester Chambers. Now he took this photo holding his gold record, making a plea to his fans a couple of years ago. Because for decades, you see, Lester was a member of the Chambers Brothers, which made gold record hits, Time Has Come Today. He was part of a very successful rock band, but he never got paid. because the deal he signed with the record company was awful. And they frankly laughed at him every time he picked up the phone and tried to get paid for the work that he had helped to create. And so decades later, he was penniless. Not because he spent any of his money, but because he never got it. And so he went to the internet. He posted this photo talking about what had happened to him, and it went viral. Millions of people saw it and reached out. It hit #1 in our music. It was all over Twitter and Facebook. And everyone said to him, Lester, what can we do to help? And so there was a relatively new website called Kickstarter. And $60,000 later, Lester Chambers got an album. Got an album that he owned for the first time in his life at 73. The way Lester now talks about the internet is like any wide-eyed startup founder, okay? Because he knows what the power has done for him to now interact directly with his fans and have them support him and work with him. Now, this is not a magic wand. This is not going to undo the injustice to Lester or other musicians like him, but it means it's another way for more artists going forward. Right? Kickstarter is about to pass $1 billion from people like us right here in this room to other people like us all over the country who have a creative dream. This economy did not exist 5 years ago. And it's empowering people all over, and that makes me so happy. Please spay and neuter, okay? It makes me so happy. But, look, it could just be, yay, internet, all right, we're done. But it's not, all right? This is not an end point. We are merely still part of a much larger process, and the exciting part is it's just the beginning, right? What do the next 8 years hold for us? I don't know. But I do know the gatekeepers are still there. They aren't just magically gone. But every day another platform emerges, another person gets to be awesome, and we get one more example of another way to do things. A way that allows us, with great ideas, the power to spread them, to share them, to finance them. But look, part of this is getting this word off of its pedestal. All right, entrepreneur, and I don't speak French, so I don't actually know what this word means, but it should mean having ideas and doing them. It's not like there's some special type of person that's an entrepreneur and then there's everyone else. No, being entrepreneurial, having ideas and doing them is so incredibly enabled by the internet, right? The largest stage and library in one. What do you want to learn today, right? Do you want to, what do you want, whether it's Python or whether it's knitting? And do not sleep on the knitting communities of the World Wide Web. They're amazing. Our knitting, great subreddit. But seriously, there are world-class tutorials on YouTube right now to learn whatever it is you possibly could want to learn about knitting and so many others, and so many more being created and so many other ideas being shared the same way the open source software was created and shared that allowed us to create the things that we've made. Like I said, we're all on the shoulders of giants, and I can't spread this idea far enough. That's why I'm on an insane 200-stop bus tour. We're visiting 77 universities, because this is what I wish I had heard when I was in school. All right? And by the way, those books are not to scale. That would be terrifying. No, they're for sale in the back. They're much smaller. Okay? And I think all of you got postcards? Yes? Okay. I know it's a little weird using Gentry mail, but hear me out. Okay? Write this out. Write out your mailing address. Write out something you want to have accomplished. You see, the reason I'm giving out these postcards, we'll collect them at the end of this, is because I want you to hold yourself accountable to something you want to do, right? Have ideas and do them. What do you want to do in the next few months while I finish up my tour? All right? By the time I get back to Brooklyn, it'll be April, and if the post office is still in existence, I will mail these postcards back to you. Won't use the addresses for anything else. But whatever it is you want to learn, like I said, whether it's Python or knitting, or you want to launch your Etsy store, or you want to reach 1,000 followers on your RSS, like I don't care, whatever it is, figure out what it is. Set that goal, and hopefully when that card shows up, you'll pat yourself on the back or brush your shoulders off because you did it. You're like, hey, what's up? Me from the past. Like, I did it. And also, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, as the ambassador to Y Combinator, that there are so many opportunities, and I want to help you with them. If you want to start a company and apply to Y Combinator, email me. If you want to work at a Y Combinator company, these are just a few of them, email me. If you want to intern at a Y Combinator company, email me. It's join@AlexisOhanian. It's a little long in that name, but yay, Armenians. And email me, because I want to help, okay? Because every single one of you who achieves your maximum potential of awesome is one more example that I can use when I'm talking to a politician or a journalist or anyone who wants to hear about how this generation is being awesome thanks to the open internet. Speaking of which, I have a rare opportunity. You see, at all these 77 universities, I've brought up alums, or I've brought up students to interview on stage who are doing awesome things thanks to the internet. Because look, if you can't take my word for it, fine. here's someone who's actually one of you, who's actually a Bearcat in this case. Now, I have a very special opportunity today because it happens to not just be someone who's doing awesome stuff on the internet, it's someone who's doing awesome stuff on Reddit. So hopefully you guys know about the friendliest and awesomest biologist on Reddit, because we have Unidan right here, and I'd like to bring him up for a fireside chat. So let me get the fire. There we go.
This is exactly what I wanted.
Yes. Okay, so I don't want to fanboy too much, but I'm going to fanboy a little bit.
I'll fanboy right back later.
All right, so this is so cool. Do you guys all know? You guys all know Unidan? Yes. Do they? I mean, how is this something that around campus people know, and they're just like, "What's up, Unidan?"
No.
Oh, really? So this is a reveal?
Until someone actually, I posted just innocuously on the Binghamton side. There was just some little thing, and I was just like, "Yeah, I'll be there." I'm like, "That'd be cool." And someone was like, "Unidan uses Binghamton." And then I got calls to my office, emails. I got like legitimate mail in my office mailbox, which was terrifying.
Yeah, that's always cool.
And someone wanted to interview me for Pipe Dream, which is our school paper. So, is anyone out here for Pipe Dream right now?
Yeah, Pipe Dream.
So they contacted me and we sat down and did a little interview. And then I was doxxed. It happens.
I see.
So
yes.
It was inevitable.
Well, I'm very happy to have you on stage here, because this is so cool for me, because as I think I showed up there when we started, it was me and Steve in a little apartment, not having a clue. And so to see how much value you have been able to add to the world using this platform is awesome. And before anyone starts giving me credit for stuff like this, I always say, like, look, some company made this microphone, right? You can give the microphone some credit, but like what makes it amazing is the person talking into it. And so Reddit, I'm very happy it's a microphone for you and for 110 million other people, but it's the individuals who actually make it worthwhile. So thank you.
That's incredible.
Thank you. So let's get it real quick. Let's pull up. There we go. So I just took a quick screenshot of your profile. There's nothing too crazy up there. But I also wanted, if you're not following him on Reddit, we have a terrible friend feature on Reddit. That's a broken feature we never should have added. But anyway, you can friend him, and then his username will glow whenever you see him. But I just wanted to get, since I have you here, I was hoping you could help me with a few things.
Yeah.
Okay, so real quick, what is this?
That is a slow loris.
And what is with this posture it's doing?
So these are prosimians, or like kind of early primates. So what he's doing is being
adorable.
Yeah, being adorable. They're actually taken from the wild using pets in Thailand, which is just a real sad downer. But they go into this defensive posture. They have a brachial gland. It's kind of like an armpit. You could lick your armpits. And they're the only poisonous primate.
Well, wait, hold on. So they lick their armpits,
and then they like rub it all over themselves. And their babies and stuff. Yeah.
See, now
they could potentially deliver like a noxious bite.
Wow, I've always done that licking and rubbing, but I never did.
I did it before you came up here in case I was attacked.
and so now, obviously, birds are your forte, your specialty.
Yeah.
At
least one bird.
Tell me, why are pelicans such assholes?
A lot of birds are kind of like wannabe predators, and this is one of them. I mean, they eat fish and all kinds of stuff. So.
This is the last second. I'm sorry. This is the last second of that pigeon's life.
Yep.
This was in London, I think.
To be fair, you don't know if that pigeon was a good pigeon.
That's true. That's true.
This could be a savior.
Yeah, I do feel better about that. Okay, but really though, I mean, like, why it's
what I do. We had an AMA on crows like a week or so ago, and some really innocent person was like, "I love crows. I love to attract them to my backyard. Like, what can I put out in my yard that'll be like good for them to eat?" And one of my colleague researchers was like, "Oh, you just put out like day-old baby chickens." I was like, "That is not the answer." She was thinking like peanuts.
That's nature. Jeez. Wow. All right. Well, and actually, on that note, you have a mycorrhiza campaign.
Yes.
Can you want to plug that real quick?
Sure. We were doing kind of a crowdsource funding thing, which is really awesome. That's like my new thing in science. From being disillusioned with a normal way funding things. So on MicroRhizo, which actually, I think they just changed their name to experiment.com yesterday, which is an awesome URL for science. And you can fund my project on there if you want, and there's all other projects that are, some are incredible, and I really suggest checking it out.
Yeah,
thank you.
And it's, well, so they are a YC company. I'm not an investor, full disclosure, I tell you guys if I were. But I was so amazed by them, because here is, right, this is basically saying regular people like us with credit cards can fund research that researchers with some spare cycles wouldn't otherwise have been able to do. Like, how often does this happen, that you just got a great idea and you just can't?
It's not the way that normal science works. For the most part, people that are doing research and big published research is going through grant funding agencies, whether they're the NSF, is one big one, National Science Foundation. But the funding rates are so low right now, and there's so little money into it. They just changed their guidelines recently that there's a 15% chance that you get invited to say your idea. Not even say your idea and get it accepted, but to just show up and say your idea. So a pre-proposal has a 15% chance. When you submit that, we got our NSF proposal went in and was on high priority invite, which is like, we're gonna get this, this is great. Out of those people, you get 20% get chosen to actually get funded, which is a 3% rate of success.
Wow, okay, and so you're telling me that there are enough regular people who care about science that they're willing to crowdfund research, and then my favorite part, what happens to the research after you publish?
So for MicroRhizo or experiment.com now, people, it's different from Kickstarter in that you don't get like cool accessories and t-shirts and things like that. In some ways that I would think that kind of adulterates the process, but you get basically just raw results. You get just a blanket statement of here's what we found, thank you for backing us, and here's our interpretations of the results, which is just like raw science, which is awesome.
And then, but what if you want to lock up all that data so no one else can see it?
You can do that. You can, on MicroRhizo, you can say this isn't open access. But the people, I would say, I mean, I'm doing open access for my project because I think that's the way it should be. A lot of things, there's a new journal called PLOS One, which is all open source. And even the peer review process is open to a lot of really good experts, but there's no, and I think a lot of colleges are going that way. A lot of people are putting their libraries on open access.
Why? I mean, this is one of the things that's always baffling me, right? Because all scientists, like, I can only presume, but like, you get into it because you want to further civilization, right? And yet so much of the process that involves getting into those important journals means essentially having like 4 people read your work and then bracketing it off. Like, do you think, is MicroRhizo or experiment.com and sites like it now part of actually going to have this kind of material impact on science?
I definitely think so. The one downside of these sites is that a lot of people will criticize them for saying that you don't have the peer review process, and that you're missing experts to review these experiments and say if they're good. The one counterpoint to that was put out by Science pretty recently is that some guy was like, I wonder if anyone's actually reading these peer reviews, and they put out just bullshit science papers and sent them to real scientists, and I think it was like 60% of them or something like that were getting passed through. And they were just garbage. If you read any of them, it's laughable. There was like jokes written into it, and like graphs that just made no sense, and it was great.
Like really disconcerting. When I say no one knows what they're doing, I mean, I mean that. Like, when it's scientists, that's like, well, and so, well, why do you think it's important to fund science?
Well, scientists by definition do not know what they're doing. It wouldn't be research if we knew what we were doing. So a lot of the process is just throwing yourself out there and kind of seeing mistakes.
Okay, let me bring this back. I mean, you guys seriously should all back his campaign. That reminded me I'm going to do it. So mark my words. I'm one of your backers. What do you think motivates you to spend the time and the energy and the brain power posting?
Don't say that. I would say brain power.
But what? Well, fine. So just the time and the energy posting everything. You have a bajillion. You have more karma than I do. Like, why do you do that? What motivates you?
I mean, my whole thing is I would love to do science education. That's my biggest drive. I would love to be a professor. Right before this, I was out. I don't know if any of my students are here. If they are, I'm sorry. But you got 2 lectures today. But I had my students out. We were wandering through the woods above our knees in snow. And that was just,
Snow.
Whoever, there you go. You were out there the other day. It was great. and there's a lot of unknown stuff in your backyard that you just have never dealt with. And especially now, people are so disconnected with that area that's really interesting, that even people that are on Reddit that are, I think, more technological and more indoor kids to some degree, though there's a lot of outdoor subreddits, people kind of get that peek at the outside world or things that they've never seen and are just blown away and really interested in that stuff.
And so how does it make you feel, whether you've got students in the field or whether you're sitting on Reddit and you see that, like,
oh, it's awesome.
The comments are so effusive.
Yeah.
Like, people are genuinely so grateful.
Which is scary.
And these are total strangers, right? This is just
so yeah.
So, like, what do you, I mean...
One of the best mind-blowing moments I had was, I had a student come up to me after I taught a lab, and he came up to kind of give me like a fun fact, and it was one of my fun facts. And I just blew his mind. I was like,
did you finish the sentence for him?
Yeah. I went out and was like, you're gonna like this. And he was just like, that scares me. That was fun. Most recently, the most like humbling moment, the David Attenborough AMA.
Sir David Attenborough.
Sir David Attenborough. Someone contacted me. I was out with friends, and they were like, "Attenborough's doing an AMA. You have to answer. You have to ask a question." It's like, okay. So I go on, and I guess Attenborough just went to bed because he's an old man and can go to sleep if he wants. And his publicist and David Attenborough sent me an apology and said that they were sorry they didn't answer my question, and that they would wake David Attenborough up to answer.
Power.
And I was like, don't do this, please. And no one listened, and they made Attenborough write me a response, like a week later. Yeah. Yeah. And mailed me a gift, which is terrifying. I was like, this is my hero.
Yeah.
That is now just being forced against his will to write it to some idiot.
This is so cool. Do you, and even setting aside Reddit, like, what does it feel like to be sitting, like, you're chilling in Binghamton, right? And you're sitting in a computer, and you're able to make contact with, like, Sir David Attenborough, like...
Well, I've had people write to me on Twitter asking me to identify butterflies, and they're in, Ecuador right now, which is crazy. That's insane. Or people writing in from, I think there's a guy who does the thing Smarter Every Day, who's written in to me and been just to fact check something. And this guy's like a huge internet celebrity too, who's educating all kinds of kids and stuff. And that's awesome. Or local people from Vestal High School have written in and just been like, we want to interview you for our school paper. And it's just like extremely heartwarming.
So what can we do to help you get to where you want to be?
More competition for me is great.
What do you mean by that?
One of my biggest pet peeves is people will talk down or put down other experts or other scientists because they want to hear it from me. And that is terrible, because I'm like, no, I want more people to be involved and put forth their ideas and stuff like that. So if anything, upvote other scientists and things like that. Be an expert. If you're an expert and you have something to give out, do that. And make people happy and learn things from each other, which is nice.
So you never post on our shitty Ask Science?
I do, sometimes. I had one of my favorite posts on there is like, I think it was, if sound can't propagate through a vacuum, why is mine so loud? That was like my favorite. That was a good one. I have a physics friend who graduated from here and went to Carnegie Mellon, and I just like send him troll physics stuff all the time. People don't realize half of my account is educating, and the other half is just trolling my friends.
That's not, there's a nice sort of duality to that.
Exactly.
I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you, I had one more bird photo. This was a rare species, can you please identify?
If you haven't seen our Enlightened Birdmen, you have missed out. This is from, I hope, Birds with Arms, which is great.
Which is amazing. So
the Enlightened Birdmen takes Birds with Arms to the next level.
Wait, so really though, what was the original one?
Which?
What's the actual?
What, some don't?
Oh, okay.
No.
That's not nearly as interesting as I hoped it would be. No, wait, so that's not an actual thing with the arms?
Yeah. They would have feathers.
Yeah. But so something else, because you talk about how important science and science education is to you. What do you think? I always thought, like I said, I talk about the internet as this great stage, a great library. What are some of the best resources that you like dipping into to learn about science? Don't say reading your own posts.
Ask Science is incredible on Reddit. There are more professors and real-life technicians and people involved with science than I've ever seen in one room in my life. And people that are willing to do peer review process or help you with science projects for nothing. Just really passionate people that deserve way more acclaim than I do. When I did the mycorrhiza thing, Ask Science came to me and offered to read through it. A professor at Arcadia University, who's a moderator there, read through everything, helped me with a few projects and small difficulties that I had, just for nothing, because he was just interested in getting me to participate, which is incredible.
And then are there resources? I don't know. I'm trying to think.
For student stuff, I would say the Student Conservation Agency. It's like thesca.org is really good for students. If you're an undergrad and you need an internship or you need some kind of work-related experience, this company will send you around the world and get you experience, real-world experience. For a lot of people that want to work with animals or work with the environment and do conservation efforts, they're incredible. And they'll give you stipends and all kinds of stuff.
And so, can they all sign up for your class?
Probably, if you have the right prereqs. So.
Okay. Well, do you do stuff out of class too? Outside of class? Like, are there things that even if they're not,
oh yeah,
sure. Take class?
Yeah. So sometimes I'll do nature hike type stuff. So.
Where do they find that?
Sometimes I'll just throw out an email. I've put some up on Binghamton and other places, just saying like, hey, I'll be here at this park. I'll give you a tree, I need you, things like that.
And this is something. Look, I'm obviously big on the tech stuff, but you can't spell STEM without science. Like, we don't graduate enough people in science, right? We don't have enough young people. In particular, I mean, we're two white dudes talking about it, but women and
the most oppressed.
Right, but like for women and people of color too, the numbers are not there. But in general, there aren't enough people getting excited about science. What do you think? What's something? You know, we're all in college now, okay? But like, what can we do for our little brothers, our little sisters, for people? What can we do to help spread the meme of science being awesome? Because it is.
I think just little things are really big. The most fun that people have talking with me is they'll bring up some really incidental subject that is just something that just you'll notice and they'll be like, oh, weird. Stuff on mildly interesting gets the biggest stuff out of it. Because it'll be some little thing and no one will care, and then you'll notice that it's some huge scientific theory behind it. For little kids, and like I do this with my nieces and nephews, just setting up little science projects without explicitly stating that they're science projects. And just making them just fun things to do with your family. And then just being like, by the way, science.
You're learning science. Wait, is there a site where you publish these or where you find them, you just could dream them up and share them?
I mean, I look up other people's stuff.
Yeah. It's just using the Google.
I made my niece's science project on non-Newtonian fluids, which for like a 7-year-old, weird, yeah. But it's like cornstarch and water, putting it on a speaker and making it look weird. But for them, that's awesome. Or doing magnetic fluids or something like that.
I want to do this magnetic fluids experiment.
Just rip open
magnets. How do they work?
Yeah, ICP will never figure it out. But like, just little stuff like that seems like magic to kids, and then it's just science, which is just as incredible as magic for me.
Well, then one final thing. Why? You know, oftentimes this happens with programming and math and science. You often hear, but that is hard, right? What is your best answer to that?
It is hard, and the thing is, you mess up all the time. The biggest thing people will ask me for going to a class, like, is there a lot of math? Like, and I'm terrible at math, I'm awful at it, but everyone's awful at it. So just be the most okay at being terrible at it.
And you'll set the bar really high.
Yeah. If you set your expectations low enough, you'll be pleasantly surprised by yourself every time.
Well, Unidan, thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
So I'm going to like I said, I'm backing this mycorrhiza or experiment campaign. That's about crows. You can Google it. I'll back it with me. I'll tweet it out too afterwards. I have one last slide. And it's a throwback to when video games used to be hard back in the day. When I grew up playing them, and I found that I was on my last life, I always played the hardest, right? Because that's the last one, the game's going to reset. And obviously, like life, notwithstanding a reincarnation or resurrection, we are all playing on our last life. And so my final bit to you all is this. Like I said, promise the internet, all this stuff that's happening right now and could continue to be awesome going forward is not guaranteed. And the fact that we can even have this discussion right now, like we are, gives us a tremendous amount of privilege and responsibility. So please take full advantage of it, okay? Please, whether it's helping to keep the internet open and awesome, or whether it's just simply using it and taking advantage of every opportunity you can to do the things you're passionate about and reach your maximum potential for awesome, please do it. And so whether you want to have an IPO one day, or whether you want to win a Nobel Prize, whatever it is, just let me know, okay, when you do it, because I want to take all of the credit for it. Okay? Binghamton U, thank you. One more thing. You see, these events, 77 universities, 200 stops, cannot happen without student organizers, students just like you all, who put on amazing events. So Ken, all the student organizers, we've got Women in Business here, I know, represent, they put this all together, did an amazing job. And I want you all to come up here, I want you all to clap for them. I'm going to hand them this banner. This is the sigil for Without Their Permission tour. And may it hang from some important building or flagpole. Don't be shy, come on up here, y'all. Yes.
Donated money, so we kind of want to give a little back. First off, some people helped us tweet out the event and help promote the event, so there's going to be one lucky winner, and I'm going to draw that now. Give me a moment. Yay. Here. Okay. Jacob Shamison. I hope I don't say it. We're going to have a table in the room next door later. Just your gift will be there. Okay, and then the next 6 are going to be out of this jar. So if you guys got a ticket before, take them out. And then alright, so the first one is 932338. Alright, good. Next.
Nine three two three three six.
79259. 0. Sorry, that was really mean of me. I really had trouble reading that last number. Yeah, that's not bad. Congratulations. 792583. Didn't want to identify yourself so you don't get jumped. I understand. 932344. No one's clapping for you. Congratulations. And last one, 932346. Wow, seriously? Wow, it's like an inside job. All right, I have one more thing. Because I still hate lines. Remember my mobile menu? We built an app for that. So if you'd like to get your book signed, and if you'd like the talk, I think you'll love the book. You just text hi to this number, and then when it's your turn, you'll get buzzed. So you don't need to wait in line. You can talk to each other. You can plan your startup. You can back Unidan's mycorrhiza. You can sign up for hackbu.org and learn how to code. Whatever it is, just go do it. Don't wait in line. Talk to each other. And did I mention we have a t-shirt cannon? Yeah. And this is my friend Asa. Asa. Asa, how you doing?
I'm doing alright, how you guys doing?
Doesn't sound like they want t-shirts shot out the cannon at them. Asa, what's wrong with your hearing?
See, the problem is I have a hearing problem.
Oh.
And the only way I know how to shoot is if you guys make some noise.
Let's bring on the Beyonce.